You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
What number are we on?
This is actually episode 121.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
like it's like
Wow.
we're established.
Kinda. It's kind of funny because I used to really pay attention to the numbers and then I just kind of stopped because Google's been making all these changes and kind of screwing people on stats and stuff, changing things around, making it harder to get good numbers on stuff now. But what's really interesting to me now is on the podcast going into those stats and kind of watching.
Yeah.
And it's always really interesting to me that people actually go back and listen to a lot of the older stuff.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the stats on the older stuff are almost better than the new stuff or like right in there.
Interesting.
It's funny. I think that when we look at that, I bet you that it'll all coincide with when somebody brought it up in a large Facebook groups for like specific things. So like
Maybe.
I'll bring it up in Joe Bob Briggs or something, and all of a sudden like our old trashy horror movie ones all
Might pop.
spike.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like yeah.
I don't know. Or it's just
New
they
listeners.
listen to one and then they're like, oh, I'm going to listen to another one.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool just seeing that.
That is cool.
Because when you've got a back catalog, people can find other stuff to listen
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And I would have to think that if you're listening to an episode you're interested in, you're going to probably go back.
Oh yeah, I always do that with podcasts. If I
Yeah.
listen to to one, I'm gonna go and see if there's earlier ones or later ones, and listen to those too.
We've got a lot of horror stuff on here.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of horror, and those always seem to do really, really well.
Horror is the thing.
It's the best.
What's funny, though, is the Hereditary one. The Hereditary one, constantly. There is consistent traffic on that one.
Mm-hmm.
The Hereditary one, the Us one that we did a couple months back, that one. The ones that are always that are topical to
Yeah.
people, because people are still talking about Us, and people are still
yeah.
talking about Hereditary.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
Hereditary
Yeah.
is nonstop, and especially now that Midsummer's out.
Yeah.
Like now it's back, and everybody's.
We some
Thank you,
horror,
Apollo.
some horror
Yeah.
is taking place in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Midsummer has got all the people that hated Hereditary screaming about how much they hated Hereditary again. And it's cracking me up because it's like, first of all, did you actually watch the movie? Because the people that screaming about how much they hated it, usually it seems like they just didn't understand the movie.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's a lot of people that just didn't watch it and they're just screaming about it anyways.
Yeah.
You know, the uneducated masses.
I haven't seen either of these movies.
That was me beeping.
I don't. They're not typically, I don't think, my taste. So I haven't, gone out of my way to see them. But I'm very curious to know where I'd fall.
I think you'd enjoy them. Like if you like weird horror, not just straight lace stuff.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy them.
Yeah.
Hereditary is one of the most uncomfortable movies I've ever watched. I fucking loved it. Loved
Interesting.
it. I really didn't expect to like it. Like A24's movies for me are really, really,
Yes.
really hit or miss. So I either love them or I despise them or just think they're a complete waste of time. And this one looked like I was going to think it was a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
10 minutes in, I was like, I had unreclined and was leaning forward in my chair watching it.
That's
So
fun.
good.
I like that.
Do you like horror movies like from the 70s and stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Then you would like it.
You
Okay.
would. It really has that.
So it's like,
It reminds me of The Changeling.
Okay,
Like that kind
yeah.
of vibe.
all right, that
Yeah.
I know exactly what kind of
Yeah.
movie this is now. All right, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I like those 70s, like, it's in a home, and it usually has to do with, like, family and some sort of past trauma, and,
You literally just
Yeah.
described the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would love it. I think. I really do.
that's what I think of when you say 70s horror.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
something like that. There's tons of stuff like that, too.
The Omen, The Exorcist,
Yep.
Changeling.
I think one of these days you just need to come over, bring Mike over. You guys come over, whatever.
Yeah.
and we'll just have some drinks and just watch a movie. Like, it
would
doesn't
love
have to
to.
be a party. Just
Yeah.
No,
do
just
a movie night
actual,
again.
just friends
Yeah.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. But although I have to say, watching The Entity, I felt bad for Jen, but she didn't actually feel uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable for her. But watching The Entity with a room full of guys and Jen was very weird. Because my wife is like, I'm sitting there like, there's rape scenes, there's like all this shit going on, and I'm like,
yeah, it's a very
Like,
uncomfortable thing
it
to
is.
watch.
And then you're being the only woman in a room surrounded by guys, and half of them are laughing. It's like, and I'm sitting in the seat next to her like, this is awkward. This is really awkward. And afterwards, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was like that. She's like, why? It was fun. I'm like, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for her.
She's more badass than I am.
Me too.
Yeah, it's freaky. The whole spirit rape thing.
Yeah. That scene is uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. And
If you tell me a rape's in a movie, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my one limit.
yeah.
Yeah.
My mom is the same way.
Yeah. I don't blame
Yeah.
you.
Oh, child molestation too.
Mine is child killers.
Which I hate to have to say, but I actually saw a movie that was very explicit in that, and I was like, well, there's another one.
Check that one
Yeah.
off on the list of things
It
I'll
was a
never
really
watch
good
again.
movie.
The last Lars
But-
von Trier movie.
Mysterious Skin, if you've ever seen that
No.
with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's really good.
It's a
Anything
Depressing.
anything he's in is really good.
Depressing and very disturbing.
Yeah.
Great.
Lars von Trier. Fuck that guy.
well, with the last one, there was child murder in it.
Yeah.
Like him killing his children
Yeah.
with a rifle in a field. And I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I had to like fast forward because it was so uncomfortable
Yeah.
that I just can't
Yeah.
I can't deal with actually if it's done like off screen or something, you don't really see what happens, maybe.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But actually
Yeah.
seeing a father shooting his children and murdering them
Absolutely
and laughing
not.
about it, I was just like, there's
That's a hard
no
line.
reason for this.
Well, that's like for me, Pet Cemetery is that because the whole child murder thing.
Yeah.
Seeing a child
yeah,
go to that level
It's
just
a rough scene.
does not like
Yeah.
my brain is just like nope, we're not doing this. Nope.
In the remake, it's not as
That's what I
bad.
heard. I finally did it. I rewatched the old one.
Yeah.
And I hated it just as much as I did when I saw it in the theater. So some things don't change.
That's the truth. So
At least I gave it another shot. Like,
We're doing
I'm
a-
older.
we're doing a more relaxed episode tonight. We decided we're going to have a small topic. We're going to talk about what's going on with all the streaming services for a little bit, and we're just going to kind of shoot the shit this episode because we don't ever do that. And sometimes it's just fun.
Just
to
to
just
hang
talk.
out. Yeah.
So yeah, this is episode 121. Unfortunately, one of our sponsors, rest in peace, Sellerman's,
Yeah.
the 27th of July was their last day open.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yep. And they were actually posting today, if you want to come up here, there's stuff outside that you can take because we're leaving the rest of everything behind.
Jesus.
Dude.
Yeah.
Jesus. I remember the day that they announced that they were selling off their brewing equipment. I was like, wait, what? What? What do you mean you're
Yeah.
selling your brewing equipment? Like, I can understand closing down the restaurant
Yeah.
or the location, but you're not going to brew anymore because your shit's amazing and it's everywhere. In
And
Metro
they could
Detroit.
find a place just to brew.
They could. I don't know why they don't.
I don't know.
Are they? Do we know where they're moving on to?
No,
I think they're just done.
Just done.
I think they're yeah.
I think those
Maybe they're
guys.
going to start sponsoring horror movies and trying to get that going because those dudes know their horror. Mm-hmm. They do.
Yeah, they really do. I think, money stuff happened. The rent was skyrocketing
Hazel
because the
Park's
guy
moving up.
was like, "Oh, it's Hazel Park. It's a new hot spot."
Yeah.
And I believe something happened with that where we can't afford this anymore.
That sucks.
And I just think they probably just got tired and just said, maybe it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, with all that stuff fighting against them, having to wake up at 5 a.m. to clean your restaurant or
Yeah.
clean your brew room,
Right.
So you can get to work
Yeah,
every
it's
day.
hard work.
Ugh.
Jeff and Dom, great guys.
We're gonna miss your business, man.
Yes.
I'm
so
sad I never got to go there.
They were good.
yeah, it was great. So Flint Institute of Arts, Make sure you
My
check
home
them
away
out.
from home. I've upgraded. The closet now has a plush bed.
Ooh,
Yeah.
a furry bed.
Wow,
It
like
is,
last
it is.
month you had a cot.
I did. I talked them into giving me. It's actually just a taxidermied goose, and that's what I sleep on now.
And then, of course, projectorscreen.com.
They are awesome. Awesome. That's
Oh,
about
and
all
of
I
course,
can say.
and I'm going like, wait a second. Matador Martial Arts.
Matador. Rudy Garza, the man.
Yes.
Yep.
Our go-to toy guy
He is.
also excellent at self-defense and martial arts.
Yep.
So, anyways, moving on. In news this week, Rambo, the latest movie, Last Blood, actually received a hard R rating today. So Stallone was all about that.
Yep.
Posting on Instagram and Twitter. We shared a news story about that.
You know, can I point out the funny thing about that?
What's
a
that?
hard R? Isn't an R just an R?
I think an R is an R, but I think in this case, dramatic.
Yeah.
There's like one more set of boobs than normal, than like just a R.
There's one more exploding arrow.
I was
than
going to say
normal.
in Rambo, that just means that there's going to be a little bit more viscera flying through the
Yeah, I
air.
figure with Rambo it'd be more violent, but
Yeah.
but you know, give it a hard R, put some nudity in too.
You'd hope.
Yeah.
You'd hope. But
Or
no.
maybe it just means it's bordering on X. Maybe it's going to be that violent. I mean, that last one.
That last one had some scenes
Yes.
that were almost shocking.
Oh, the body's being shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're at that machine gun.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
I love those
Oh,
movies.
me too. They're so
I mean,
ridiculously
Rambo 3,
dumb.
not so much, but 1, 2.
Oh, come
and then
on,
that.
dude. 3.
When he's a
that
superhero
the cave fight
and he takes out like the whole Afghani army by
Yes.
himself with one arm.
with one arm and a bow and arrow. The 80s.
In relation to Stallone, I'm really confused by this.
The Creed
About
2 stuff? Or the
After Creed 2, he came out and said, farewell to Rocky. Rocky's done. I'm not doing anymore. They left the tail end of that movie as him
Going home.
going home, getting back together with his son,
Yeah.
and it closed the character out. And this week, Stallone came out and said he feels robbed of the Rocky character. I don't know how, but that he's going to make 2 more Rocky movies. One is a prequel to the original. How do you do that? Because the first Rocky is its own prequel.
Yeah.
You don't need any backstory
So now we're going to get him just in a movie of him being a club fighter.
Yeah.
And it's going to be dumb. It's going to be Tommy Gunn dumb.
Yes.
Like, I'm beside myself annoyed with this because Creed 1 and 2
We're great.
are brilliant. Like, they are great movies. And 2 had the perfect ending for one of the most classic characters in cinema. And now he's going to really just...
He's going to do a prequel, and then he's going to do another Rocky movie where he trains another fighter.
I think his issue is that he ended Rocky being a side character instead of Rocky being the main character. And I think, knowing him, he is just egotistical enough that might have hurt his little ego.
It was so good, though.
It was so good.
So I don't know anything about these movies really. I know a little bit, but I
Right.
haven't seen them. So what I'm concerned about is a prequel to Rocky. Is this going to be like CGI to make him like look like?
That's the only thing I can think of.
I just been thinking
They're
going
going
to
go full Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, like, oh, look at him, he's in the 90s. In this case, look at him, he's in the early 70s
I think
now.
they'll probably get an actor that looks enough like him and do some prosthesis maybe to make it look.
How much do you want to bet they're going to get a young actor that is built like he was and figure out a way to digitally map his
They
face?
could.
They're
They
gonna
could do that.
they're gonna
yeah.
full fake it.
They're gonna
Yeah.
do like cats.
Yeah. Oh, God.
See, am
Don't
I the only one who saw the trailer and went, "Oh, that's not bad for preliminary effects"? It looked like
Preliminary.
it
No,
looked like
that's-
early,
I
it
think
looked
that's
like
what they're
early
going for.
effects. No, I don't think it is. I honestly don't.
I just want to know who said I want a motherfucking Cats movie.
Oh, I'll go see it.
I'll see it. I will. But
I love the musical. I've seen it 4 times. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a beloved musical.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was one of those things that they wouldn't make a movie. Well, I mean, they acted like it was really secretive, like in the 80s. Like, it'll never be a movie.
Yeah.
again.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think anybody could figure out how to do it as a movie back then without it looking weird.
Well,
They're doing it and it looks weird.
it looks pretty damn weird.
I'm hoping that that's its preliminary effects and they're going to go in and clean it.
I think that's what we're getting. I really do.
I think we are too. Unless
I
it's
don't
like
know.
a Sonic thing where they're going to,
where they might be
action.
like, oh, fan backlash.
Like, oops.
I hope.
But,
I
I
hope.
don't think it's, some people are digging it.
I think it would have been really cool if they just used real cats.
Yeah, they could have done like a now I'm imagining like a Pixar movie, but with cats.
Yeah.
You mean The Lion King?
Yeah.
But yeah, but not.
But not The Lion King, but not Lion King.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with jellicle cats instead of
I just don't know.
African cats.
Yeah.
I bet it will do huge box office. It'll do really well.
Oh, probably.
And we'll probably all end up loving it.
That's going to tank.
You think so?
It's going to tank. Because the problem is it's a musical that is actually very divisive.
Right.
People either love it or hate it.
True.
And yes, it is the longest running musical in the history of Broadway in America, not the world, just America. But that doesn't mean that everybody hasn't already seen it and isn't going, well, okay,
Well, it's old.
I'll buy the soundtrack.
It's old.
Yeah.
When's the last time it
I can't remember the last time it toured.
yeah.
I think 10 years ago or so.
Something
It's
like-
been a while.
It's been a
Been a
long
while.
time. Yeah.
They
It's not like
revitalized
Phantom
it.
where Phantom they revitalized
yeah.
it and brought it back.
Or like Les Mis. Now, the Les Mis movie, I adore that movie. We talked about that last week. A lot of people don't like it. I love that movie.
But I can't stand the movie, but I can't stand the musical. So
Okay.
I usually can't stand musicals, so
I love musicals. Like love them.
Yeah.
I do
used
too.
I used to do them like in high school.
Damn it, Mara.
I like Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's probably I like Grease too.
Feed me.
Those are probably the two I like.
Grease the musical
Phantom
is
of
so
the Opera?
different than
Yes, I
Grease the
know,
movie.
I know.
It's so cool.
And Fan of the Opera, I'm like, meh. My mom really loved
Have
it.
you-
so
did you go see it live?
makes me I have.
Okay, cool.
And it's really cool. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
The stuff that they do, but
Yeah, that's some great set.
yeah,
design.
I don't know. There's something about musicals that even when there's like a musical bit in a movie or a show, I kind of like tune out of it.
Oh, see, my favorite episode of all the CW shows was when they did the musical episode last season or the season before in the Arrowverse.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one it was in. It was The Flash.
Really?
And they actually had one of the kids from Glee, Darren Criss, came on and was can't remember the Flash villain's name, but that's literally his power is that he controls music. And so he makes everybody into characters in a musical and forces them to sing. And the great part is that everybody in Supergirl and The Flash can sing. It's literally 2 casts full of people that have done Broadway.
Yeah.
So it's like really good.
All right, rolling out with news. Lost
Yep.
Boys pilot on the CW is officially happening again. They rewrote the script. They're expecting to shoot the pilot in the fall.
I'm still interested in that.
I'm mildly interested because I'm such a fan of the original movie.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do.
See,
They're going to retell the story from the movie, is what they've already said. The pilot will basically
The pilot
kick
will be
off,
that.
is going to be the same basic story as the movie.
that's fine.
I wonder how they're gonna do it though.
See,
They have a big potential to really screw it up, in my opinion, by
yeah.
doing that.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
They have a big potential to really piss off some rabid fans.
I mean, I'm kind of already pissed off. To be honest, like I'm kind of going in like why do you need to like redo it?
Oh, see,
I mean, I don't know.
I've kind of gotten to the point with movies and TV and stuff where I don't really have any sacred cows. Where I'm not like nothing. I'm like, all right, do whatever you want. Like, let's see what you got. If it's cool, it's cool. If it's not, it's not.
I mean,
oh well.
I feel you on that, but I just kind of feel like if I'm gonna spend my time, invest time in something, change it a little bit. Like you got me. You got me already by saying Lost Boys, and I know it's in the same universe. Yeah. So I would like to see more instead of just repeat.
It can't be any worse than the sequels to the Lost Boys movies.
Lost Boys, The Tribe.
The Tribe, and whatever the third one was.
I even watched it.
The Frog Brothers one. The third one was all about the Frog Brothers.
Yeah, and the one Frog brother gets turned.
Yeah, and he's in the. Oh, I loved that movie. It was
and remember at the end of The Tribe, Feldman meets Haim.
Yep.
And Haim has turned to a vampire. And I'm like, you just screwed up the entire original movie by doing that.
Did.
I hate when they do that. Ugh. When you go like let's just take Aliens and Alien 3. Like you go Aliens and then Alien 3. They get off LV-426. Everybody's alive, but then in between movies, they die. Yeah. Like you went through all that to escape, and then
they die off screen.
And then they die off screen, and that's how I felt with Lost Boys too. Like he went through all that shit to kill these vampires and survive, and then all of a sudden
he still loses.
And then he's a vampire. Like no. So
that's crazy.
That actually didn't bother me. I thought that was I was like, all right, cool.
It's kind of dark.
Yeah.
So other news we posted on the site earlier today. Matt Damon is returning as Loki in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
That's going to be fun.
I'm excited for that.
So I love what Kevin has said. He's like, nobody would give me permission to make sequels to any of my movies. He's like, so I'm making sequels to all of my movies in one movie.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
I'm like, oh my God. That's why Ben Affleck's in it. That's why literally everybody from any of the movies ever is in it. I can't wait.
I know. That's going to be, I love Kevin Smith.
Me too. We got Bethany's name from Dogma, so.
There you go.
All right. And then It is returning to theaters in August prior to the sequel with additional footage added to it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh.
So that would be pretty interesting.
Maybe I'll go check that out.
And then a new D&D movie is in the works.
Really?
Yes.
What did they say it is?
I don't remember. I just picked up on it right before you guys came over. Yeah.
I'm going to totally have to research
it looks like it's got a couple good producers behind it.
Good.
So I think a lot of this is spawning off of Stranger Things because people are really interested in D&D again.
Thank God.
I should get my kids into that. All right.
Well, I've been trying to get a game going, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Nobody's responding. Michelle's like, I used to DM, but, I have a weird schedule.
I just started a game, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm hurt.
You didn't. We started it like a month ago. Sorry.
I started asking about a month ago.
I didn't even see it.
I know. I'm teasing. I'm totally teasing.
New releases this week. We've got
I
Hobbs
live with
and
the
Shaw.
DM, so that makes it easy.
That really does.
Hobbs and Shaw is out this week.
Cannot wait.
I'm kind of actually looking forward to it because
that movie is going to be so dumb.
It's
so fun.
Those guys just playing off of each other. So much charisma on screen. Statham and The Rock.
And Idris Elba.
It's like
three of the most charismatic men in Hollywood in one movie together. It's going to be great. It's going to be so dumb, though. And I am so excited about how dumb it is. And Idris Elba's playing like a universal soldier badass.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I didn't really see what else was coming out this week because I know this is going to be the big one. But Nicolas Cage has a new movie that's coming out straight to video this week called A Score to Settle that looks absolutely horrible.
Are so we're excited for it, I assume?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Because he makes just steaming shit piles consistently now, other than Mandy.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I know. I don't get it. He went from being Hollywood's darling to holy shit, I need money. Give me any script you have.
Taxes. He had tons of back taxes, and he had to start taking on any roles he could to pay off his taxes.
That's when he sold off his Superman. And
yep.
Yeah. He had the highest graded Superman in the world. First appearance of Superman.
And you come from the Coppola legacy. Dude, you got to do a lot to fuck that up.
it didn't come with any money for him.
Right. But still.
Just like it didn't really come with any money for Talia Shire.
Uncle Francis, can I just borrow some money?
He is. That is the reason why he changed his name to Cage instead of Nicholas Coppola, because he didn't want
to be attached to that.
Any of that. Same. Talia Shire did the same thing.
Freaky. Anyways, so on to suggested viewings. I only have one I can suggest this week, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, I didn't see it yet, but I want to so bad.
I think you guys are going to love it.
I know I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
I'm just not excited for it.
I am. I sit in the theater for a Tarantino film. I'm thrilled.
I've sat in the theater for every Tarantino film, and this one, for some reason, the trailers, all of it, have just left me like, yeah, it looks wonderful. It looks great. But it doesn't look like anything I'm desperate to see. You know, like I know it's going to be spectacular. I know I'm going to love it.
For people like us, the movie doesn't have much of a plot other than the friendship between Brad Pitt and Leo.
Right.
Yeah.
One guy's a stuntman, one guy's a movie star. And he's working in Hollywood as the scene is changing. And, it comes up to, he's a big Hollywood star. Then now he's doing TV westerns and stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, you got to move to Italy to do spaghetti westerns. So it's just that whole transitional phase that was happening then.
Late 60s.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then the Manson thing, a lot of people are upset about that. The movie really has almost nothing to do with Charles Manson. It's just like a substructure of the plot. Like, it's off in left field. Stuff happens with it, and one specific scene centers around the Manson, the Tate killings.
The LaBianca Tate murders. Yeah.
But the movie, it's just different because there's almost no profanity in it, and there's almost no violence in it other than one or two scenes. It's a lot of people are like, oh, it's very, self-indulgent for Tarantino. To me, this was a step up because it was a change. He didn't just fall back on, I'm doing swearing and gangsters killing each other the whole time. Not a lot of blood, not a lot of profanity. It's very straight-laced, and it's more like an Altman film. It's a very slice of life.
Really?
Yeah, that's what this movie is.
I'm so excited to see this.
That's
good, because I think you're going to love it.
So excited. You say Altman?
Oh, I love Altman.
Yeah.
Oh, he's my...
And they bring back all these
love him.
Classic Hollywood things.
Yeah.
Just hanging out at restaurants in the bar and just socializing and stuff like that.
You're going to laugh. You know what the trailer reminded me of? Have you ever seen the documentary The Kid Stays in the Picture?
Yes.
That's what watching the trailer reminded me of.
Yeah.
Was something like a story he would tell.
Yes.
And I'm like, that sounds interesting. I don't know.
Being a film fan that you are,
I know
you're going to enjoy it.
I know I am, and that's what's driving me nuts about it. Is that honestly, I'm just like, yeah.
I followed this.
I think
Instagram account, Vintage. I think she's called Vintage LA, and she's got a Facebook too. And she lives in Vintage Hollywood, and she lives in Hollywood. And while they were shooting, she was taking pictures of them recreating like 1970s Hollywood and making these theaters and restaurants look like how they did at whatever 1970 whatever. And that was really impressive to me. I'm excited to see this movie.
Yeah. Well, with what a student Quentin is of film.
Yeah.
It's just, I know he has just the coolest stories to tell.
Of course.
Because of it.
He's just, people want to give him crap. They say he rips stuff off, but I mean,
of course he does.
He's a prestiged filmmaker who just kind of, he's got so many inspirations and influences, and it's like. Yeah. You can go ahead and you can take it apart and say, well, the scene in Death Proof's actually just the scene in, that scene in Vanishing Point. And it's like, okay, well, I saw Vanishing Point, and that movie, I forgot it except for that car chase.
Yeah.
Death Proof, sorry, it's one of my favorite movies.
I love Death Proof.
And there's a lot more going on in that movie than there is just something from Vanishing Point.
Oh, there's a ton of, the dialogue is phenomenal.
The dialogue.
Yeah.
And I love both sets of girls are like, so cool.
It's like 2 movies. I love it.
I know. And I love both sets of girls. I love Zoe Bell.
She's amazing.
In that movie is everything.
She's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, too.
I know she is. Dude, when we were talking last night on Facebook, like all of us, I hopped on IMDb and was like, holy shit, who isn't in this fucking movie?
That's
like
cool.
The only one that got me where I was like, well, that's a shame is Emil Hirsch, but he's a scumbag, and hopefully this is the last thing he does. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of like Altman, just like, you know, the who's who of just everyone, huge ensemble cast.
Do you remember when Ready to Wear came out? And it was that cast in that, we were all just like,
right,
like, did you honestly just say, everybody come to the set?
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's go have fun.
Come on, just.
A lot of people are up in arms over the Bruce Lee scene in this movie, too.
I've heard about it, and you know what?
The movie is a fantasy. This is the movie is fantastical in the way it presents everything.
People are mad that the stuntman character kicked Bruce Lee's ass, right? That's what people are mad about?
Yeah. Who cares? It's a movie. It's not really Bruce Lee, and this movie is not real life. It's fiction.
Honestly, Bruce Lee would find that funny.
Yeah.
He would have actually found that funny.
Somebody's been messaging me about this. Well, they disrespected Bruce Lee. I'm like, dude, you know Bruce Lee was like the biggest troll out there, right?
Oh,
like,
God.
He trolled the hell out of people.
Especially Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, once he realized that Hollywood wasn't going to let him in, he was like, fine, fuck you. And started having fun with everything.
Yeah.
And, like, making fun of everything. Kung Fu was his bitch. Like, he made fun of that show so amazingly. It was wonderful. Wonderful. Because it should have been an Asian guy in that movie.
All right, Mara. Do you have a suggested viewing for this week?
Yeah, I hope you guys have seen this movie. I just saw it. I never heard of it. And I don't know how I missed it my whole life. Ooh. The Wraith.
Yes.
Starring Charlie Sheen, Randy Quaid, Sherilyn Finn.
Yep.
Who else? I think that's it. But, wow. Yep. Great cast.
Wait, the Wraith. That is the car one, right?
That's the car one, yeah.
Randy Quaid plays the sheriff.
Yep.
Charlie Sheen is is the Wraith, and he was unjustly murdered, and he comes back with this indestructible car, which was a
Dodge.
It was Dodge Interceptor, which was a what you call it, experimental car.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
they made 4 of them. 2 of them got destroyed during the making of the movie.
One of them is on display at the Chrysler Museum.
That's what I was about to say. That the last one is here.
Yep. I know. I want to go. I wanted to go to that museum in the first place, but then after I saw that movie and I saw that, I was like, I want to go see.
When I saw it was a Dodge, I was like, that's a Dodge from the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, Dodge was thinking pretty far ahead because that thing was like.
Yeah, it's got open up.
It reminds me of of Centauri's spaceship in The Last Starfighter. The shape of it has that same kind of, like, you can't tell which end is the front.
Yeah.
And the doors hold. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have mirrors.
Yeah.
This movie was just, I mean, the characters are ridiculous. The way everyone looks is ridiculous. The things that people say, they're weird slang.
Oh, like slang. I was alive. I was old enough in the 80s to remember slang. That wasn't slang.
Randy Quaid says some shit to him like, when the drug overdose above your eyebrows drains, let me know if you saw something. And he's like questioning someone, and it's like,
what the hell did he just say?
What? We were like stopping, rewinding, like, what?
Sounds like Randy Quaid.
Honestly,
he was great though.
Like watching that movie, I just rewatched it like 3 months ago. All I could see was people rubbing their noses. Like, if you rewatch the movie, everybody's doing this nonstop in the movie. I'm like, oh my God, how much coke was on that set?
Well, the one guy is supposed to be, he like drinks hydraulic fluid and like, it's so messed up.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
This was one of those, like, HBO in the 80s, like, The Last Starfighter, The Wraith, the Kids Next, what was it, Kids Next Door, this was one of those that was just like
constant replay,
constant repeat. Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny because the car comes out of nowhere, and then it's just like they race, and then he like cuts him off, and then he crashes into him, and then it's just explosion, just like he just explodes everyone.
And then he drives away.
Yeah, and then it's like the dust all like settles, and then there's that car, and it's just fine.
Totally
zooms
fine.
away. Oh man, it was the great soundtrack too. Ozzy Osbourne, Bonnie Tyler.
It was
tons of other 80s
such a
people.
quintessential 80s movie. It really is. I love that movie.
Surprised. I was shocked I had never even heard of it before.
I'm not that shocked because it was like it was big in the 80s for like a year.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, HBO made sure it was about a year.
Yeah.
And then it vanished. Like I remember every once in a while you'd see that box art.
Yeah.
Like at the video store.
Yeah, that's what Mike said too. He remembered that like the guy in the the helmet and the suit.
Helmet
yeah.
yeah.
I don't even remember seeing that.
In this pose on the cover. like why are you doing a tough man pose in a helmet?
It is something my whole life. If I were to have seen that, I would have been like, "Ooh, I want to see that." And I just never it passed me by. But I'm so happy I saw it the other night.
I'm so glad you saw that.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I can't wait to watch it again. It's probably one of my one of my favorite movies now.
That is so cool.
So
that is so cool.
What's yours, Trevor?
Event Horizon.
My pants just got a little tighter and a little deeper.
It's one of those ones that I always forget how much I love that movie until I put it in and start watching it, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, this movie's so good. And it's so wrong in every way, shape, or form. Jen described it so perfectly as The Shining in space, where the ship slowly takes over the guy and turns him into a monster. And it's like, that's pretty damn accurate. I'm like, okay. And then now I'm really wishing that all that footage that disappeared still existed.
Yeah.
Because there's it was a 2.5 hour movie. And they made him get rid of like 40 minutes of film because it was just way too over the top violent. And it's like, all that's left of it is that fast edit scene when they're watching the video message.
Right.
And the guy has got like his own eyes in his palms and... Yeah. Whoa.
This is a great movie to smoke weed and watch. Serious.
Never seen this.
You've never seen?
No.
Oh yeah, we got to get you to see this one too.
It's a good science fiction horror.
Yeah.
Good science fiction.
Sam Neill,
Lawrence Fishburne,
the peak of his.
Sean Pertwee.
There's a ton of people in this movie.
Everybody in the movie is good. Everybody, and you know them all. That's the even cooler part where you're like, oh shit. He's in this? Like, it doesn't even look like him. Like, Alfred from Gotham is the pilot in it.
Wow.
And what's even cooler is that he's the third Doctor's son.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows that. Because I'm a closet Doctor Who geek.
Get back in your closet. So, we kind of want to talk about, like, all the streaming services that are going on right now. There's so many of them.
There are.
Yeah.
It's insane. And what's going to happen with this? I mean, people are seriously getting to the saturation point with this now. You can't afford to have them all. You can't.
No, you can't. But what the funny part is if you think about it, if we didn't have all of them, everybody would be screaming that it was a monopoly, that Netflix owned too much.
Right.
Or Amazon their streaming service owned too much.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And so... this is the opposite of it. This is everybody owns their own goddamn thing and nobody can... The nice part is that I think we're going to be seeing... I know with Disney has 4 different streaming services planned. 4. But the upside is that with them owning Hulu, their plan is... that you can either just subscribe to their other streaming services like ESPN and I think they're talking about a National Geographic one, the Disney Plus one, and I can't remember what else. That you can either subscribe to whichever one of those you want, or you can get them cheaper as a add-on,
full package,
as an add-on to Hulu.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's going to be pretty spectacular. I mean, Disney Plus is already basically won. I mean, if we really look at what they're planning on.
Oh yeah, and that's going to kick off in September, I believe.
Yeah, they're going to. The only people that are going to have real competition are Amazon and Netflix, and that's out of establishment. But out of pure original content for the Disney Plus platform, nobody's going to be able to touch it. Like, they're doing original Star Wars TV series
that are going to look like the movies
that are being directed by Jon frickin' Favreau.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah,
nobody can beat that. Although Netflix has the Scorsese movie coming out.
This is the issue that I have right now, and you guys will probably agree with me.
Maybe.
Like, we have Netflix and we have Hulu now. And Netflix is like $14.99 a month. And,
for 4K.
Right. And then the Hulu is like $13.99 a month or something like that.
I pay 40 something for it, but
okay.
I do live TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, we don't do the live TV thing.
I pay $5.99 a month for Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's $11.99 or something for us.
It's commercials though. Do
Yeah,
you have
she gets commercials.
Okay. Yeah, we have the no commercials.
I'm thinking about upgrading it because it drives me fucking nuts.
It's so worth it.
And now you can afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem I have, and this doesn't really have much to do with any of the streaming services themselves, but my big problem is I feel like I'm getting to the point of saturation with the amount of content there is. Like Netflix last night, I laid down in bed and I turned Netflix on and literally I sit there and scroll for like 30 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this. And I start watching it and it kind of loses my attention. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go back. I'd rather watch this thing instead. It's almost like there's so much content out there now that it's overwhelming.
It's hard to decide. You can like get into a decision paralysis.
You can.
I'll be like, I want to put a movie on. And I will spend an hour and a half looking for a movie. And then I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie now.
Yeah, by the time you're done, the amount of time you had to watch a movie is gone.
Yeah. Or I'm like, it's too late. I'm going to fall asleep before, once the movie starts or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. It is a lot to, it's like, and the thing that really sucks is that when I'm done, I didn't even watch a movie.
Yeah. Because there is so much. Mm-hmm. And then we're getting to that point, that tipping point of everybody cut the cable.
Yeah.
Cut the cord.
I did
Everybody's like, we're getting rid of cable. And now all of a sudden we're getting back to that price point where why didn't we just keep the cable? Because we're paying all this money for Hulu, Netflix.
I'm still saving like $80 a month.
Yeah. Okay.
But what about when all the Disney streaming comes out?
They're talking about $7.99 a month.
Not bad.
For 4K.
Oh shit.
That's really good. Yeah.
Like, I'll sign up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll start paying for that now.
Yeah.
In advance.
I mean, the issue that I'm seeing is that we are at saturation point. The problem is that we're at saturation point over 10 platforms. You know what I mean? Like Netflix has a lot.
Yeah.
They don't have, but original content, they don't have that much. Like they honestly don't.
Not quality.
No. Amazon, they have a lot of good stuff, but not that much. CBS has a couple things. Like everybody has 2 or 3 really good things.
Yes.
Which makes you want to, piecemeal it and get every single one.
Yeah. And honestly, it's going to get to a point where hopefully we can just get 2, maybe 3 services that cover everybody. And we can get it all.
See, what I'm wondering is it going to end up being like a regular cable bill? Because everything's broadband. And I'm wondering if the cable providers are going to start being like, oh, in your cable bill, we can start packaging in Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, blah, 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 blah. And then we're really getting back to the point
where you're just back to
doing
having cable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be it. That might be what they do.
Yeah.
But, right now, really, Amazon is probably my favorite way to go for any of it.
They do have a lot.
I like Amazon, too.
Well, Amazon's my favorite because you can do the channels. You have additional subscriptions that you can do in there. So you can do CBS.
HBO, Showtime.
I have my Fire Stick, and I have Shudder. I have HBO. I have CBS. And the content is amazing. And the CBS one is totally worth it just for Twilight Zone and Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, and when Picard comes out.
And Picard.
I'm going to need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to need some of that Picard up in my eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. Hulu's kind of like that, too, where you can add on, like you were saying with Disney.
Yeah.
They have it with HBO and Stars and Showtime,
Yeah.
and I think that's it. They don't have Shudder. I don't know.
No. And what sucks is Shudder is so worth it.
Yes, it is. I had it for a minute.
That's why I love my Fire Stick. I can, by itself, Joe Bob Briggs, his live show on Fridays when it's on season.
Yeah.
Live double feature, creature feature movies on Friday nights.
Like the old days.
Is worth it. Alone. That makes it worth paying for. The fact that he does two marathons a year or two, even more worth it. Because I guess he's going to do another Christmas and another Thanksgiving this year. So we're going to get 2 more 16-hour marathons.
Cool.
And then just the original content they're starting to do besides Joe Bob with Creep Show, with...
Oh, I forgot they were doing the Creep Show.
They have a Critters TV show.
That's right.
And the Critters show is hysterical. It is so good.
And they're really short episodes, right?
15 minutes or 10 minutes.
See, I love that. I love the change of pace. That it doesn't have to be a half hour, doesn't have to be an hour. I like that these services will offer stuff like that where it's 8 minutes, it's 15 minutes.
Yep.
Because they have the room to offer stuff like that. Short attention span theater.
Absolutely.
You know?
Man, I remember that show.
You can just watch something in 15 minutes. That's what I liked about that Black Summer show.
Yeah.
That was the spinoff of the other zombie show. How every episode, the first episode like an hour, and then slowly but surely as you got down to the last episode, the last one was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you couldn't do this on regular TV. But since it's a streaming service, nobody cares. And you just felt it ramping up. And as it's ramping up, the episodes are getting shorter as you get near the end.
It's just making it more frantic for you.
Yeah. It was really cool.
That's a
really
good mind
cool
game to play.
Yeah,
cool.
that's interesting.
But yeah, honestly, we're still at a point where it's worth it to spend a little bit extra money and get some of these other services. Like the other one I have is BritBox, and it's my other favorite thing to have. It has every season ever of Doctor Who, all of them.
It's called BritBox.
BritBox.
Nice.
And it has everything. It has all of Blackadder. It has it doesn't have Monty Python. That's exclusive to Netflix. But it has a ton of great stuff.
And that's available through the Fire Stick also?
That's available through Amazon or on its own. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's got man, Jen and I sat down and watched Are You Being Served? All 5 seasons of it. It's like my favorite 70s British TV. And they had it on there.
I used to love to watch that show.
It's a great
Yeah.
show.
I haven't seen
never
that in
seen
a
it.
long time, but I used to love to watch it when it was on PBS back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was the first British show that normalized gay men
Yeah.
and did it without being insulting to them. Like they did
Well,
make
they
fun of
did.
him occasionally,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he was usually the most together person on the show,
Yeah.
and it was great, hysterical show.
I wonder if we're going to get to the point now, though, that people are going to be like, oh, I cut the cord. Are we going to get to the point people are going to be like, oh, I cut the net, and they go back to cable? Is there any going back now?
I don't think
Or is
so.
it going to be
I don't
this?
think networks can keep up.
No?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because we're just gonna get more and more. I mean, this happened with cable, more and more channels, and to the point where it's like, cable can't handle all the channels. Now we need all these streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can just have like infinity.
Everybody watching something different.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really pay attention to cable, most of it's reality programming.
Oh,
I haven't turned on cable in years. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I haven't paid it. We haven't had cable in probably 6 or 7 years.
I
now.
watch the stuff I watch is still on Hulu on their live broadcast stuff. So I watch like Investigation Discovery. Lots of Investigation Discovery. Way too many murders are happening in my house. Baking shows, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
I wonder though, too. There's a lot of wondering going on tonight. As these streaming services are rolling out more and more, are the cable companies going to be charging us more money because of the amount of bandwidth it uses? Because it really does use like a lot of bandwidth.
When Jen and I first moved to Michigan, we decided, screw cable. We're not doing it. We're getting 75 Mbps through Comcast or Xfinity, whatever.
Right.
And we're going to do the PlayStation View for live TV. And I was using great. What's three? Not gigabyte, not gigs.
Megabytes?
Up.
Terabytes?
I was using 1 terabyte
a month. Yeah, I can see that though.
Or just under, and I was constantly on the verge of going over my limit where they're going to start charging me more. And I'm like, okay, screw this. I'm getting cable again because this is too dangerous, and they're going to charge me a boatload to do this. And so I did it, and then now I'm like, what else do you have? And they had this like weird thing I signed up for. So now I have 100 Mbps, no limit, and all I do is stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot because we've got 6 people in our house.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, but we ride that fine line every month where I'm like, uh-oh. Because every few gigs that we go over, it's like $10 extra through AT&T.
Oh,
we need to get their unlimited service. It's only a few bucks more a month.
They don't offer it in where I live.
No.
And they only offered like 17 Mbps.
Wow.
I was like, no, I'd rather shoot myself than have your internet. Like, do you have dial-up available? Can I do that instead?
So, do we think really there is like a war between them?
No.
Like ABC versus NBC versus CBS? Do we think that like competition is there with these services or no?
No.
I mean, maybe a little bit. Because, I mean, with their original programming, and of course, it's like Netflix is going to want to try to get some, the certain, theatrical releases and classic things that are going to be popular more than the other services, right?
Right, yeah.
Or else who's going to turn on Netflix?
Yeah.
Well, although Netflix, if you pay attention, is really steering away from other people's content.
They are. I have noticed that.
So I mean,
they're gonna have to. I mean, they're gonna have to be competitive for me to want to watch some of their original content over.
Well, let me tell you, Sugar Rush is a great baking show.
And even like now, even YouTube's got stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, Cobra Kai.
Red. Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Oh, you got it. It was so good.
Oh,
I'm not willing. I'm not willing to pay YouTube. I hate YouTube in general.
I'll get you Cobra Kai.
Do the free trial and watch it all in 1 week, like I did.
Yeah. I've got the first season on digital, so I can find a way to get it to you.
That would be
bad
appreciated.
boy.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Now it becomes the piracy episode.
Oh,
yar.
But yeah, so it's like every make me turn
my cat
on.
To sit on my shoulder.
Make me turn on Netflix, not YouTube. But I mean, Cobra Kai's kind of probably been better than most of the Netflix stuff I've seen. Just in my opinion.
With a lot of the Netflix stuff, like I try to get into it.
Yeah.
And Stranger Things is the only one that's really Scott Lambert sunk its hooks into me. And like I've really watched it repeatedly. You know, that's the only show that I have consistently gotten into on there.
Now, I've liked a few. I liked Dead to You or Dead to Me, and I liked Russian Doll. I started out loving Orange is the New Black. Last 3 seasons, I just did not give a shit about it anymore.
I gave up on it after season 3.
I think that was when I did too. I was like, it's like, okay, come on, how much you gonna do here?
Yeah.
It just got too
like
the minute they killed Crazy Eyes, I stopped caring.
I didn't even know she died. I didn't get that far.
The minute they killed her, I was like, okay, I don't care anymore.
I'm done.
She was the best character on the show.
I always say when they killed Poussey.
Oh,
I think that was the last season I watched.
That one was brutal, too, yeah.
And I was like, whatever.
I started watching that show, and honestly, by season 2, I started getting the feeling that it was going to go into Weeds territory, where it was just going to like slide off the rails and get totally fucking stupid. So I just kind of
because it's like one book, one woman's memoir about like her 1 year in jail, and it's like, how are you going to make this ongoing series about that?
Yeah.
Without going off the rails and making up a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's honestly, I can think of at least 5, 6 shows on Netflix that I adore.
Dark was good too. I forgot about that.
Dark is good. Black Mirror.
Oh yeah. Okay. I forgot about that too.
Mindhunters. All their baking shows are ridiculously good.
They do a lot of comedy stand-up specials if you're into that. I mean, the Dave Chappelle ones.
The Chappelle, both of those were so good.
Didn't Norm Macdonald have a show too? Yeah, that was kind
that
of
was kind of awkward though.
Trevor Noah's was good.
I went. Some of them are good. Some of them weren't.
They have Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
I noticed that they had that. Yeah,
and they have Eddie Murphy on it now.
The David Letterman.
Those are
series.
Amazing.
And my next guest isn't that the name of
it?
My
next guest needs no introduction.
Oh, that's right. Those were great.
And they're still going.
I even watched the Kanye West one and never got annoyed with it.
I did. Yeah. I watched it and I couldn't. I was like, I still fucking hate you.
I kind of got him a little bit more, though. When I could just see him talking.
So did I, but that's not a positive.
Yeah.
I got it. I made me want to punch him more. But no, they have a lot of great shows on Netflix. They really do. And their original content is really good. Like, everybody bashed Bright, but it was a really solid, like, better than most made-for-TV movies.
It was silly, but it was still fun.
Yeah. I mean, since when do any of us bash something for being silly and fun?
Never. Never.
Nope.
Exactly.
Yeah, Hulu I just haven't really watched much on.
Hulu does a lot of good original content, too. Most of their stuff's documentary. Their documentary stuff is
I'm trying to think
amazing.
of some Hulu original stuff that I'd watched. The only thing I can think of was a show that did, I think, 2 seasons and it got canceled, and that was Quick Draw.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that show.
Veronica Mars.
Oh, yeah. Is that on there now?
The first 3 seasons and the all-new, brand-new 4th season that Hulu produced. And, yeah, Veronica Mars is back.
I like her as an actress.
I love her as an actress. I've never seen the show.
I've never seen the show
everybody on our in our Facebook groups just all
loves it.
Especially Josie. Josie, I guess, just ugly cried for the entire 4th season. And there's nothing wrong with that, Josie. I'm not insulting you.
Yes, he is.
Don't beat me up.
So, when we were out there, we were talking about another thing. Maybe we should touch on that too. This comic book thing that we were talking about, kind of being sick of superhero movies and kind of at our, again, using the word saturation with them. Mm-hmm. I enjoy them. Like I
still love them.
We watched Shazam down here a couple days ago. Kids loved it. Mm-hmm. It's a great superhero movie.
It's a good movie, period.
But we're kind of getting to that point now where, we're at the end of that first set of Marvel movies, and it seems like things might start changing a little bit.
I think, like I was saying when we were out there, I think Marvel knows that they're at saturation point for superhero movies, and I think Marvel is doing what they can to get away from superhero movies. Because if you look at the lineup now, it's horror Doctor Strange, Black Widow spy 70s or 90s spy movie, Blade, which is going to be more horror. Eternals is going to be psychedelic sci-fi. And then Shang-Chi, the Kung Fu, so they're going to have a full-on Kung Fu movie. Like they're really
branching out away from that whole standard hero origin story, etc.
Yep. And then with their streaming stuff, they've got they're kind of going all over the place. So we're getting a Loki show, and they're promising that Tom Hiddleston isn't going to be the only Loki on the show. So we're going to get Femme Loki. We're going to get like some of the crazy iterations that they've had over the years with that. We have Taika Waititi returning with Thor. We have What If.
What If? That's going to be a show, right?
What If is going to be an animated series. And it has basically 80% of the Marvel Universe is coming back to do voice work for it. And like even Michael Rooker's coming back as Yondu to do voice work in it. So, I mean, that's going to, like, Marvel, I think, really knows what they're doing. Like, they're going to give us 3 years of not superhero movies, with Thor thrown in there as their crazy, off-the-wall Taika Waititi, let's watch him have fun.
Which I think
movie.
A lot of this is happening with the other, like, comic book materials that are coming out now, too. I haven't watched The Boys at all. I know you said you didn't really care for it.
The book was interesting. I haven't watched the show yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you did. A lot of people said they were bored with the show.
I've heard a lot of people bitching about it.
But it just looks like it's not like your standard
it's
comic book. Yeah, okay.
Well, they're also coming out with the Kitchen that's coming out this month or next month.
Yeah.
So that's another comic book movie that doesn't even seem like it's one at all.
No. So. And then, I mean, we have the Valiant movies coming out with Vin Diesel playing
what's his name?
Ninjak Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. Yes.
Then we also have Ninjak coming out. But neither of those are superhero movies at all. Bloodshot's I think going to be a Vietnam movie. Or they'll probably redo it for Desert Storm or something. But I mean, everybody knows that comic books are more than just superheroes, and I think that the companies are wanting to go in that direction.
Well, because literally the last decade, yes, we've gotten some non-superhero comic book movies, but the majority of them have been straight-laced or origin stories, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, all of these. And they're classic characters, but man, how much more can we how much more can be like shoved down our throat? Like, oh, here's another Spider-Man movie, even though they've been good.
I mean, the new one I adored.
Yeah, but I'm kind of.
But you know that you were there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of now going like, maybe something else.
I am and I'm not.
Well, I mean, if you love Spider-Man, I mean, it's great to be alive. Yeah. I never liked Spider-Man. I never really cared, so I would be really happy not to see his
face
red and blue ass
everywhere
for 1 second of my life.
Yeah. It's just time for different stuff.
Yeah. Why? I want to see She-Hulk in one of these movies.
She's happening. She-Hulk is coming.
When?
I just read it.
Damn it! Don't you have these dates memorized?
Yeah, I didn't see that in the big San Diego Comic-Con announcement, so I assumed they weren't doing a She-Hulk.
Kevin Feige was talking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's the thing I'm hoping to with Blade is that I love vampire tales and so that's what's his name, Michael Morbius. So I think his first appearance was in Blade. I want to see him in a movie.
Morbius?
Yeah.
Morbius' first appearance was in Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Damn, there you go, Spider-Man again. You know,
Marvel developing She-Hulk TV show.
There you go.
So yeah,
they were going to do that.
It's going to be a Marvel Plus thing with Mark Ruffalo, and I can't remember who they're talking about playing Jennifer Walters.
That'll be awesome.
That'll be great.
Well, it probably won't, but
it will be great. Mark Ruffalo is such a good, like, co-star kind of guy.
I don't like him.
Oh, how can you not like him? Okay.
Yeah, you can't really argue it. I don't like him.
No, I know.
There's actually a lot of people that don't like him. I've actually heard this a lot lately.
Really?
And there's a lot of people that don't like his Hulk, especially over the last couple movies. I've heard a lot of this, that how they like downplayed the Hulk a lot instead of being like in the forefront.
Right.
And how a lot of people didn't like that he was just like, I wonder what that was. That he wasn't strong enough, like, as the character in the last couple movies. I've just heard this from multiple people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing why I'm not really like too enthused about comic book movies or shows, because I like comic books and they really, and I like movies, and I kind of feel like the thing that I like about comic books is not the thing I like about movies. So when you put it into a movie, I don't like it typically. I mean, I'll be okay with it, but like, you know, I like art and I like the pacing of a comic book and the way they look and the aesthetic of holding a comic. So when you tell me there's like a comic book movie, you're just taking those characters and making them into a movie. So I'm not like excited.
You're not maybe as attached to that form of media for that character. Or is it just because it looks different or feels different?
I don't like need to see She-Hulk like personified, and actually it would like ruin it for me because like it's never gonna look as good as a comic. Like you're never gonna like
recreate that magic.
And you could do an animated movie, and you might get like art style down, but you're not gonna get down the pacing because you choose your own pacing when you read a comic. You can read it real fast.
Right.
And like not really look at the art that much, or you can like spend like 5-10 minutes on a panel if you want.
And just look at it and take it in.
And that's what I like about comics. So to tell me one of my favorite superheroes is going to be on screen, I'm like, ooh, for like maybe a second. But like, I don't know.
It gets kind of worn out.
I'm not like, I'm kind of like, okay, awesome. Whatever.
It's not going to be as good as you wanted it.
And it's not even like, it's not even about that. It's just like, it is what it is. Yeah. Like, it's a movie. It's not a comic.
Well, and sometimes our expectations, we get all built up for it, and then it's not like a proper transition of that character from the page to the screen, I think. But that's a whole nother story.
That's never bugged me at all. No. I view them as two different things.
Well, I do too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I view the comic books as comic books and like the comic book characters as those characters. Mm-hmm. And then whenever they do a movie, it's a totally different character. I don't think Spider-Man from the comic books is Spider-Man from the movies. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they need to have anything to do with each other particularly. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody gets mad about Aunt May being Marissa Tomei, who, by the way, is in her mid-50s.
I don't get mad about that.
Is just as likely to be the 15-year-old boy's aunt.
Oh, absolutely.
Anybody, which, that's a whole other thing. That I am glad it's not 80-something-year-old Aunt May from the 60s, 70s, 80s that was the permanent victim and boring as hell. And
she's a really strong character
now
in these movies, and she really
kind of was in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, she kind of takes a very prominent lead role in those two movies so far.
I like that they gave her strength, that they gave her something to do other than, oh, Peter, save me, oh, Peter, save me.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm going to fall in love with Doc Ock because I am just that much of a hapless fool that I don't know that this guy has been all over the newspapers for the last 20 years and that, holy crap, he's really a bad guy. But no, I really care about him. He's a good guy now.
He's got octopus arms.
Like,
see, that's not my problem with the comic book movies, though.
What is?
That they're not comic books.
Oh, see, I wouldn't want them to be.
So I can just watch a movie that's not just like, I could watch an original movie instead.
That's kind of how I view them, is I don't view them as based on as
like
translations of
right,
the comics.
like you're separating the two.
So then what's your interest in seeing it then?
To see how somebody else pictures characters that I used to love.
So you are seeing it as the character that
I see it as Spider-Man, but I don't see it as that Spider-Man.
Well, of course it's not. I'm not. I can do that too. It's like a lot of people get really upset. My thing's Wonder Woman. A lot of people got really upset about Gal Gadot playing her.
I thought she was perfect.
Yeah, I think she did a really good job, and I think she's a great movie Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Am I ever going to watch that movie again? No, it was not enjoyable. It wasn't good. I don't like movies like that. I like Wonder Woman comics.
I think she was a great Wonder Woman, though, too.
She was. She did a really good job.
She encapsulates that character.
She did it,
for sure.
Perfect.
You know, like what I don't get, though, too, with comic book movies is, yes, we've gotten all these mainstays repeatedly, but, like, why can't we get, like, a good, like, Red Sonja movie or a good
We're about to get a good
Conan
Red Sonja movie.
And then that's the other thing, too, is why I feel bitter is because I do kind of feel like a lot of my characters are kind of left in the dust. I don't know.
Like, what would your characters be?
Red Sonja, She-Hulk. I mean, Catwoman, which they did not leave in the dust. They brought out but not enough. And
only once very well.
Yeah, and
well, besides the 60s, I love the Lee Merriweather Eartha Kitt. Yeah.
I do too. But like the Halle Berry movie was really weird. I don't know.
Oh god,
that wasn't Catwoman.
No, it wasn't. And it's like
really
just
wasn't.
what did they do? They just made that movie so they could like keep rights to the name Catwoman? Like
funny enough, Warner Brothers owns DC. So
well, yeah,
there was no issue of rights. It's their character.
Yeah, well, it says like DC on the like movie, but it's like not.
I know.
It's not Selena Kyle or even anyone else who was ever Catwoman.
My guess has been, since it came out, was that they had a script for something that was kind of similar to Catwoman, and that they thought that they could slap the name Catwoman and change character names to Selena Kyle and go, look, Catwoman, and pretend that that's what they were making, and think that we were dumb enough to be like, oh, that was such a great take on the character, when all of us went, who the fuck was that? Like, that is not... Give me Brian Bolland Catwoman from the 90s.
I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer was...
She was awesome.
She was good.
Yeah.
She was good.
I mean, she was so psychotic in that movie.
Yeah.
I love that she trained so hard that all the whip work was actually her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did good. She took that really seriously, and
in the
good
movements.
Role. And I mean, to talk about something that really takes a big veer from the source, is that Batman Returns and Catwoman's origin story. That's no comic at all.
No,
she's had a couple different origin stories, and
neither
that
one
is
of them.
not none of them.
Yeah,
but that was still cool. I still really liked that. So I guess maybe I'm bitter because none of my characters have been explored enough.
Well, you're about to get a female-produced, female-directed, and obviously female-starred Red Sonja.
That's what we need.
So I'm just praying to God that they don't... Dynamite does some things okay with the character, but every time I read it, I feel like it's purely TNA with bad storytelling or mediocre storytelling. And she could be so much more than just TNA.
There's tons more in that Dynamite that's more than that. I don't know what you've read.
Well, I've only read a few issues because I was like, this is not...
I'm very interested to read what you read because you might have read like maybe the earlier ones.
When it first came out.
Yeah. Gail Simone took over, and it's not.
Well,
like
if Gail
that.
Simone's writing it, it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
Because she is probably my second favorite comic author of like the last 20 years.
You read her run, and then when she ends, I can't remember who takes over, but they stay good.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Because, like when I read that for the beginning of it,
yeah,
it really just felt like it was an excuse to have a woman in a chainmail bikini.
They're hit and miss. Some of them are like that.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, come on. Like,
It's,
I like a woman.
Great art.
I like.
Don't get me wrong.
I like the concept of a woman in a chainmail bikini just as much as anybody, but at the same time, I want a good story out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like
well, yeah,
TNA
because if it only exists for
TNA.
Exploitive purposes, then what's the point?
Exactly.
You know, if there's no
but
story,
if you're gonna have that character and have freaking Gail Simone writing it, okay, I'm
different,
okay with that.
Totally different.
That's like I want James Gunn to, when he does Suicide Squad, I want him to actually do Villains United, the Gail Simone run with those characters, and bring in Catman and those, because it was the best time anybody has ever written an all-villain team. So.
I just want a good Suicide Squad movie.
James Gunn's writing it and directing it. I'm not concerned.
Not fearful.
And the upside is that apparently he just signed a deal for 3 more movies that he's not saying what they are. So, and it sounds like only one of them is Suicide Squad.
It's pretty interesting too that he's transitioning between DC and Marvel. So that he's going to be doing another Guardians movie and he's doing Suicide Squad. A lot of these
announced that Guardians is coming second to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So that's kind of massive.
It is. I just don't want to wait that long for another Guardians movie.
I know. I love those movies so much.
They're so much fun.
I love them because they're not superhero movies. They are just good sci-fi
I didn't see the
movies.
second one for some reason, but I really liked the first one.
Kurt Russell totally made the second movie.
You know what else did I already say this? I want to see Michael Morbius, the living vampire, in a movie.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oopsie.
Whoops, sorry.
I want to see him in a movie.
Michael Morbius?
Yeah.
He'd be interesting. I always preferred when they used Dracula or the other vampires over him. He always seemed like safe vampire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I never dug him.
He's not a bad guy. That's why.
That's part of what I didn't like, is that I didn't like that they spent a lot of time making him a threat and then went, but he's a good guy.
Well, he's a threat to he's a threat to the wrong person.
Yes.
And he's he's a threat to the patriarchy because he's trying to, hang out with the girl and let her have her own choice and listen to her thoughts on politics. And the dad's like, you got to stay here. And he's like, no, come on.
I've never thought of him in that perspective.
Yeah.
See, I like comic movies like V for Vendetta, things like that just have a more darker aesthetic to them.
Have you heard if 100 Bullets is still happening? If HBO is still moving forward?
I don't know. I do not know.
Have you ever read it?
No.
It is one of the coolest comic book series of all time.
Is that from Image?
No, it was Vertigo.
Okay.
And so the whole concept let's say Mara is the main character of the first story.
Okay. Mara, put on your costume.
Mara's at a diner. Somebody has just horribly hurt her, and her life is falling to shit.
Why would you do that to me, Trevor?
Oh, wait, but you're going to like where it goes from here. Stranger walks into said diner, slides a box over to you, and says that there are 100 bullets in this box. They are completely untraceable, and so is the gun. No one will ever know that anybody you shot was shot by you. Bye. And that's every issue of 100 Bullets.
Oh, that's pretty
It's
interesting.
a different person given that power.
So
that's
this would have
pretty
to be
cool.
like a show.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
And I can't remember who wrote it. I want to say Grant Morrison, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Just amazing. Amazing series. And it was Brian Azzarello wrote it.
Okay.
And it was just great.
Yeah.
And it gets no love, no credit for what it was. And it's intense. It's a really intense series. And then it actually ends up merging stories together by halfway through the run.
Yeah.
And it was a 100-issue run.
Yeah, I just saw it's 100 issues.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah. And it was, and so then you start getting backstories, and you start getting
Right.
everything as
All
the
the
series
other-
goes.
I've always seen this in the shop, in the comic shops, but I never knew what it was.
It's so good.
And it's not
So
like
good.
I don't know.
It doesn't sound like something most of us would like.
Well, sometimes you don't know.
Yeah.
By title or like I don't know if this is
I-
good. You don't
I-
want to take a risk, you know.
I got lucky and was working in a comic shop when the trade first dropped, and they're like, "Dude, have you read it?" I'm like, "No. Why would I read a book about called 100 Bullets?"
Yeah, and it's got like a guy in a suit on the.
Yeah, I'm like, that looks totally not. I don't read Punisher. I don't read that crap. Like, no. You've really got to read this. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I picked up the trade. And yeah.
So I think in general, what we're saying is give us more creative comic book movies that
give us variety.
Yeah.
I mean,
outside the realm of what we've gotten so
keep
far.
giving me superhero. Like, superheroes are fine. But don't give me 14 superhero movies a year. Give me one.
And let's do like I said, some of the like unsung ones, you know, like someone you don't really see a lot, you know.
Well, yeah, like that's why I'm excited about like Shang-Chi, and they actually got a great Asian actor to play him, Blade, and they've got a 2-time Academy Award-winning actor playing him. The Eternals has a ridiculous cast in it, and it's out there. It's got Angelina Jolie, and I can't remember who else is going to be in it.
Tons of people.
And then now the rumor is that they're going after Keanu Reeves to be Moon Knight.
Which would be pretty rad.
And so you're going to get Marvel's crazy Batman, and that's going to be interesting. Because the dude literally has multiple personalities. He's a great character. And, yeah, there's so much going on there that...
I still want a Rom movie.
Rom is in development hell.
Yeah, they talked about it for a while, and then...
The problem is nobody knows who has the rights.
Hamara just laughed at me when I said Rom.
Yeah.
You remember Rom?
I don't remember it, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
Rom Space Knight was a great comic.
Yeah, I used to read that comic when I was a kid for a while.
So
Did you
funny.
see the Rom at the sale?
I did not.
Who was there?
Damn it.
It was such a
like
good...
this big.
It was
Cool.
such
Oh,
a good...
shit.
a
It's
good
probably
comic.
gone, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure
now
it's
it
gone.
is. Yeah.
It was such a good comic. Just like the G.I. Joe comic. Everybody was like, it's a toy comic. It can't be any good.
Transformers comics were good. The original
Transformers
ones.
comics were great, and it had the best joke ever as on the top of the final issue. Because it was supposed to only run for 4 issues, and they never said, okay, we're making it a running issue.
Right.
And so it says number 81 of a 4-issue limited series.
Nice.
G.I. Joe, I mean, how many comics can you honestly think of that are 155 issues of one story?
That's what G.I. Joe is?
Yeah. It's one continuous, well-told story with one writer the entire time. And then now, IDW has gone back and started at issue 155 and a half, and they're now up to 200 and something with the writer from the original run still writing it.
Really?
Yeah. It's the most intense thing in history. And it's just a really good story with cool characterizations, which is what I think surprised everybody.
Yeah.
Is that it was serious. It wasn't like the cartoon where it was like bumbling Cobra and stuff. It was like there's an issue where the Dreadnoks actually use a chainsaw on one of the guy's dogs.
Damn.
Doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
Like the dog's alive in the next issue, but you're still like, holy crap. Like it's intense, like serious adult stuff going on in a kid's Marvel book.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now if we can just wait for Chris to get back, maybe we'll wrap this show up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk more about different movies you want to see, different comic book movies.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see, it's funny, going back to the 80s stuff, I'm really excited for the Masters of the Universe movie.
Are they going to do that? I didn't even catch
They're
that.
doing it, and they're doing it seriously. So they're not doing it like the old Dolph Lundgren one. They're actually trying to do it justice, which that could be really exciting. It's a cool universe.
Yeah, it is.
Especially if you watched the I don't know, did you watch the 2000s cartoon when they rebooted it?
No.
It was really cool. They
I
actually
heard
made
it's really
Skeletor a
good.
compelling villain.
Yeah.
Instead of like, rah, rah.
Yeah.
You know, he was
I like him like that, though.
it was fun like that. But this one, they decided that he was brother or half brother of King Randor, and he tried to take over the kingdom and started like this whole thing, and ended up getting acid splashed on his face, and it melted all the skin off his face, and that's how he ended up with the skull face.
Cool.
Like the whole thing was this intense political drama. And it was, in the whole series was a political drama. It was like they'd go to different areas where the bee people were, and it have to do something to get the bee people to join their side.
Yeah.
And like, it was just an intense political show.
Yeah.
It's craziness. So that one I'm excited for. Thundercats is still being talked about.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm hard.
Yeah.
I love Thundercats.
Thundercats live action, which the live action part kind of concerns me.
You know, I'm still actually kind of
It's gonna
surprised.
be like cats.
What's that?
It might
They're
look
gonna
like
do
cats.
it like cats.
It might look like cats.
that'd be, and it's a musical too. Thundercats, the musical.
I just want to see somebody dressed up as Lionel going thunder, thunder,
Thunder,
like
thunder,
horrible dance, like Bob Fosse dancer.
There you go. That's really gonna shake up the reboots. You know.
Oh my
that
goodness.
would be amazing. But I really want them to after they did Bumblebee so well. I want them to reboot G.I. Joe in the 80s and actually make it
proper for the actual context of
what the comic
G.I.
was.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yes, G.I. Joe existed before the 80s, but it was just toys. There was no story at all.
Right.
It was in the 80s when they said, oh, Star Wars figures are selling a lot. What can we do? Oh,
what
G.I.
can we do
Joe.
in that scale?
Oh, let's bring G.I. Joe. Oh, but he doesn't have a story. So let's do a cartoon and a comic book.
And the comic book, like I was saying earlier, is just
One.
astoundingly well written. And if you could do the characters like they were in that, you'd end up with a really solid movie where you could have characters that actually have depth and interest.
Those two movies they put out, like the first one was fair. Like, it's watchable. The second one is just terrible. Like, it made no sense.
See, I actually like the second one a lot more than I like the first one.
Yeah.
Because it at least tried to go back to... The first one left them in such freaking limbo, weird place.
Right.
That in order to go into the second one, they had to figure out how to repair everything that they screwed up in the first movie.
And they kill everybody.
And so they get rid of Duke.
Movie. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm glad they got rid of Marlon Wayans because he was the worst part of that first movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I loved The Rock in it. He was a perfect roadblock. I loved the Bruce Willis part was amazing. Like that was just so freaking.
It's like,
dumb
holy
and
shit,
fun.
Bruce Willis is in this movie.
How Bruce Willis is in G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Okay.
sure, I'm okay with that. But,
All right.
Yeah, I think it's time to call it a night.
Yeah. We're at 90 minutes
Yeah,
of just bullshit.
Yeah.
90 minutes of
Just yapping. That's
Yeah.
okay, though.
Streaming wars, comic book movies.
yeah, and then comic book movies we want.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back next week. We're talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood next week, so
Woo.
check back with us.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.